Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. This is another episode of On the Real After the Credits. I'm sorry, this is On the Real News, but it's actually going to be an After the Credits edition because it's a special edition of news, all 100% geared towards Justice League. So we are going to have a spoilers discussion about this thing, and it is going to get nerdy. As usual, joining me today is Mr. Johnson.
How y'all doing out there?
In that 90s Superman jacket.
Is it 90s or 2000s?
90s, maybe 2000s.
It's super 2000s. You don't remember the show called Smallville?
Get him.
Do your knowledge, man.
Do your Googles.
Mr. Woods. Mr. Woods. Joining us also is Mr. Woods.
Hello.
Before we get started into this thing, I just want to take a moment to say that if you like what you see so far, if you like looking at my ugly mug or my
I'm sure they don't
profile, go ahead and click like and subscribe and follow us. And
follow us because we're entertaining, not because you think he looks good or bad,
or because I look good. But anyway, that's
Cypher sounds don't get gassed.
That's neither here nor there. So today we are discussing Justice League. We did a non-spoilers review, so we are going to start out with our spoilers review.
Talking about Superman's Justice League.
This thing. You can say it now. Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Yes, Justice League and the DCU.
Yeah. Luckily,
DCU, however you call it.
I didn't want to spoil it.
That's actually not a thing, apparently.
Oh, it's not.
We'll get into that as well.
Whatever, DCU, DCEU.
All right, you can say anything you want.
Man,
about
the DC
this
Comics
film.
movies. You know what the F I'm talking about.
There you go.
WWF, WWE, it's all the same.
Now, what do you want? What anything stick out for you that you want to? What was your favorite part of this movie? Or the thing you didn't like? Anything you want to say about it? Spoilers be damned.
What I didn't like was the terrible CG for Superman's mouth that you see straight off the bat.
The stiff upper lip.
Right off the bat.
It's just like how we talking about spoilers. It's just like Superman, how we thought maybe, he's going to show up by the end. First, as soon as the screen goes from black to, like, you see Superman.
Right.
And the CG is so horrible because apparently there was some deal where he was shooting some other movie and he couldn't cut his mustache, so they had to put CG.
They wouldn't allow it.
Yeah, they wouldn't allow it just to be dicks because I'm pretty sure it's because they can. That's just some real Hollywood stuff because it's really easy.
I don't think that's.
It's so much easier for them to put facial hair on him, and it would cost less for them to put facial hair on him, believable facial hair on him, than it would be for them to do CG to take away something. But that ain't their movie, so they don't care.
But let me ask you a question. Why should they care? And what's happening
that ain't their problem.
Henry Cavill is filming, I think it's the next Mission Impossible movie. I think that's what it is.
Yes.
And in the film, he has a mustache and a beard. And I think it's actually just a mustache. And Justice League needed reshoots.
Right.
Massive reshoots, which we will get into later. But
also,
Henry Cavill needs a mustache for the Mission Impossible film.
Right.
So when he had to come back for reshoots, Paramount said, you know what? He is contractually obligated. Whatever you guys are doing with Justice League, you had him for that time.
Yep.
This is the time we have him. He is not going to shave his mustache because his mustache looks a certain way. That's the way we're filming it, and we are spending millions of dollars on this film, and we don't want to have people looking at his mustache like, oh, it's different.
Right.
That is a you problem.
Continuity.
And so, again, they are well within their rights, and I think I think not only are they
what I think?
Morally right, they're just justified.
But back to my point, what I think is they should have pushed it back. Because then they wouldn't have these problems. That would have solved all of this. It's just it's just like, we got to make this money now. We got these yearly. We got to get for the fourth quarter. We got to make this money for the fourth quarter for all the other stuff that flopped during the year. So we got to make this money. So it's just like a cash grab. Just with all the extenuating circumstances of Zack Snyder and dealing with his daughter's suicide, or just like they have to bring another director on. They should have pushed it back.
Hold on one second. Before we get into that, let's just keep it on the movie just for a couple of minutes, and then we're going to get into all that.
What I didn't like about the movie, that was just, I'm talking about his, facial hair and that whole lengthy thing that we were talking about, because that's the first thing you see off the bat. But other than that, I like the interaction of the characters.
What was your favorite character interaction?
My favorite character interaction, or who was my favorite character?
All of that.
There was a lot of good character interactions. When Superman was beating all of their asses, that was some great character interaction. Like, because he was handing them all their asses. Like none of them could do nothing. Like, if he wasn't holding back, he could clearly kill every single one of them.
Right.
But he was holding back, and it's like he's like the Hulk, where it's just like, that whatever the girlfriend Betsy, Betsy, or
it's for the Hulk, but you mean
Betsy,
Lois
or
Lane.
like for the Hulk, or Black Widow or Lois Lane for Superman. It's that for JJ will just calm them right down.
All right, Mr. Woods.
Well,
tell us about this film.
In
your spoiler review.
I felt like I could have seen a mustache on Superman. I don't know how bad this mustache was, because that would have been relevant. That would have been the equivalent of
mullet Superman.
Yeah, like Superman's Rebirth, I believe it is. Yeah, Superman's Rebirth. And so instead of the mullet, you just have him with the mustache. You know that something is different. He's back. He's really not himself.
Badass.
Exactly. And so I think
they should have done that.
As a viewer, you would have seen it and it would have been believable. Comic book fans or people who don't follow the comics would say, okay, what's going on here? And you could believe that he has a mustache, he's not himself, and then probably by the end, you use the CG in a spot to where it's shaved off and some.
No. But the problem is they're not reshooting the whole movie, so it's just the scenes that they need.
I know it was specific.
So you can't if you're not reshooting the whole movie, you can't have him in this shot. He has the mustache because that's a reshoot.
Right.
That's a reshoot scene, and then in this other scene, which is still taking place in the same moment. But it's just another angle. And then it's an old shot that he doesn't have a mustache.
But I don't know.
It seemed to me that every shot
was reshot, right?
His mustache was digitally altered. So at no point did he not have the mustache.
So and to LeVar's point, that's how I feel, that if you were doing all of these reshoots, and it seems like if you brought Henry Cavill back because you needed a whole lot of work done to have him smiling and smiling and smiling, over and over again, then you might as well have went with the mustache scene. Or for as long as you've had him, and you specifically have him back and you're getting all of these shots, then, you just work with the mustache. Again, like I said, I don't know how bad it was, how jarring this mustache was on him. And then you work backwards in a way where you erase the mustache, because the more things looked real, that's
read the caption.
It's Superman. Turn it off. Yeah, it's crazy, so it's one of those things that I believe it's called the uncanny valley, that the closer something looks real, the more fake it becomes. So I don't like that. I don't like what they did there.
It definitely looked like his face was like when you watch them old or comedy stuff where it's just the face is there, but the mouth is cut out, and it's just pasted, and some mouth is moving.
Right.
That's how it looked like. The equivalent of that bad. Not that quite that bad, but very similar.
But aside from
9 minutes later, aside from the mustache.
Right. Aside from the mustache.
But it was that bad that we had to talk about it that long.
No, it really
throws you off.
It disorients you as a viewer. Let's just be honest.
I feel disoriented right now.
And so that's for different reasons, and we don't have to bring that up. But so But also another thing that happened with the movie, I felt, is that the color palette was so dull. And there's this thing that I understand that DC's universe is more darker, but when you're blending grown men and women in leather uniforms or something like that, it feels like they're in spandex, and it feels like you're watching them in just overgrown costumes and things like that, and it doesn't balance well with what else is happening on screen in terms of the colors and.
But as to the colors, they brighten those colors.
Yeah, those colors are definitely brighter.
What do you mean they brighten?
They brighten the colors.
BBS.
So what happens is, if you look at some of the
brighten the colors,
all the colors were brightened, and this is why the suits looked a little weird, and you could see the padding for where. Because here's the thing: when they make these suits,
These colors were definitely brighter than previous films.
They make these suits.
So something fell off.
Based on the lighting that they will be in. Right. And what happened was the movie was initially a lot darker. Just the color palette was darker.
Right.
And they wanted to brighten things up. You can see the S on Superman's suit looks a lot brighter than it did in Man of Steel.
It did, right.
The blue in his suit was like bright blue as opposed to sort of like the darker, almost blue. Navy blue. Because they wanted it more
cheery.
Yes, it was a more happy film. So
a lighter tone.
Everything
it was definitely tonally different.
But now what they did is they sort of just kind of changed the contrast a little bit and the color palette of the movie. That whole like red tint at the end of the movie. That's not how it was originally filmed. If you look at the old trailers versus the new trailers, and everybody out there on YouTube, go ahead and look at old versus new Justice League trailers. You can see how the color palette has changed.
Wow.
To from while Zack Snyder was still on the film to now Joss Whedon being on it. So that's just something but go ahead.
So, and with that being said, listen, everyone doesn't know the backstory like we do in terms of how much work was needed to be put in just to get this movie. That's why they're
watching this show, so we can tell them and stuff.
Well, yeah, I mean, so I understand. I feel bad that it's getting slammed in the box office. Maybe there's going to be some type of recovery period. Maybe they're going to make their money back.
What's crazy is when you talk about slammed when it made like $96 million. Like that's something to sneeze at, but it's still lowest grossing.
It's nothing to sneeze at, but for a movie of that caliber, you're with seeing all these characters, it should have done 200 million. All of these characters in this film and 96 mil. You know what I mean? And listen, I'll be the first one to admit, I thought this movie was going to make bread because I said, there has to be people out there who wants to see all of these superheroes in one movie. Nope. I was wrong.
All right. So, back to the movie itself.
Right.
Here's what I'll say about it. I think that I was not offended by this movie in the same way that I was, offended by Batman versus Superman.
Is that not a low bar?
I think that come on, I'm going somewhere with this.
Okay.
And I think that they played it safe. They played it safe in that they cut out anything in that film that would have been controversial because of what they did with Man of Steel, which I love. A lot of people don't like.
Right.
And what they did with BVS. And BVS was a bad film, but it was bad because they tried to do a thing. They tried something. They failed at it. No. Nobody goes into a film. Nobody goes into film to make a whack movie. It didn't hit with audiences, but that film, what they tried to do, they tried to speak to the military-industrial complex. They tried to speak to terrorism. They tried to speak to a lot of things. Right. Again, they didn't succeed, but they tried. They tried to say that this is not your daddy's Superman.
Okay.
This is not truth and justice for all. If Batman did exist, Batman would be killing people. This is a broken Batman who needs to find his way again.
Okay.
And I'm not looking at the film with rose-colored glasses. What I'm saying is they tried something. This was they
tried to make things dark because of Nolan.
I liked it, but the film was sort of paint by numbers. What chances did they take in this film? What did they do that was outside of the box other than it's a superhero movie, so we need to we need an excuse for them to jump from one action scene to the other, and it's basically a series of vignettes.
You're saying Justice League?
Justice League.
I thought you were talking about Avengers 2, which was also directed by Joss Whedon.
Yeah, but Avengers 2 still had a narrative, and he didn't get fired. He quit from that movie.
A series of vignettes is a great way to put that.
So, and there's no real interconnected tissue. And that's, again, comes down from the top brass at Warner Brothers saying this thing needs to be 2 hours.
But don't you think that was editing that had to get it to those series of vignettes? Just staying on. I liked how you explained that. Like that, it's an editing thing that happened there where they had to really, again, everyone doesn't know how much work they had to do just to cut it down to 2 hours.
The way you're talking about it, it's just like I would think you weren't the same person who gave it an almost 8 with your 7.8 rating.
No, I did, but again, I'm trying to.
You sound like it's a 5 right now.
No, I don't have a 5. I'm just talking.
You ain't say anything good about it.
I will get to that, sir.
Why you gotta leave with the negative?
Good, sir.
Yeah. Just saying.
So the point that I'm trying to make is the reason it is in my book a 7.8 is because they did the bare minimum of what they needed to do to jump from one action set piece to another, but there is no connective tissue. And
but
I
still liked it though.
I did like it, but again, I liked it because what was there not to like? They didn't do anything.
So you think this
they didn't make
average?
any.
Or you're rethinking that 7.8?
I'm not rethinking the 7.8, but
it kind of looked like it.
It was okay. It was an average movie.
Oh, so it's like it was my rating. It wasn't even whack.
No. I still keep the 7.8. I guess the thing that I'm saying is
the rating is it should just be. It wasn't even whack. I don't even want to give it a number.
But this is what I'm saying. What stood out in this film that was different that you'd never seen anywhere else? Nothing. Can you point to one thing?
Marvel has done better.
Go ahead. Besides the mustache.
The Amazons couldn't lift up a horse.
But they could lift up a wall and carry those heavy hammers and knock off the stones.
And I've never seen the mother box get transported by an arrow.
That was kind of dope though.
You said, is there anything you've never seen before?
Okay, you know
Stuff
what?
That doesn't make sense.
There is something, and again, this is why I say set piece.
It doesn't make any sense.
My favorite scene, well, there are two.
The Superman looking over at the Flash.
No, that's second favorite, right? Favorite scene in the movie is the flashback for when Steppenwolf came to Earth the first time, and you had everybody get together, and you had you had Themyscira come in there, and you had the lanterns come in there, and you had the Greek gods come in there.
So that was Zeus?
I guess it was Zeus, or was it the old Shazam? I don't know. Right. But it was a dude out there.
Gods. It was all the old gods.
So you had all of that and that big war scene with them jumping on the horse. So Amazonians versus Atlanteans plus the Green Lantern Corps. So to me, that was my favorite thing. I was watching that like, oh, wow. I need a movie of all this.
And they consider them all tribes. Like those are the tribes.
More of that.
But and then it's when Superman. I just wish Superman was like in his suit
and
fighting.
When Superman was beating all their asses.
Well, I don't know if Kryptonians were there.
Right.
The funniest thing was when Batman said, "Yep, something's definitely bleeding."
That was not funny for me because that's not
Batman wouldn't say that.
No, that's not Batman.
Now speaking of that, I
you know who would say something like that? What Batman would say something like that? This guy, Batman. Rest
1966.
In peace. Yes.
No, George Clooney's Batman would say something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
So now speaking of those jokes,
R.I.P.
do you think that? And this is for both of you guys. Do you think that they went too? Do you think that there were too many jokes?
No,
I don't.
Because I feel like
the right amount.
I feel like
I agree.
I feel like they went out of their way to say, "Hey, let's get a shot of everybody smiling. Let's have Batman telling a joke."
Oh,
Batman never smiles as Batman. He smiles as Bruce Wayne, but never as Batman.
He smiled as Batman in that movie, and that angered me so much. When Superman comes in, right? There's a shot when everybody's like, "Oh, Superman's here," and they go shot by shot or face by face of each character. Each superhero, and when they get to Batman, he just has this doofy smile.
Smirk.
Yeah, it just threw me off. And I said, "What is going on
Batman
here?
Smiles.
Why is Batman
Have you never
smiling?"
Seen Batman laughs. You never seen The Killing Joke, or read The Killing Joke?
Yes, but come on, man.
No, that was a whole thing that led up to that singular moment, and he actually, I believe, snapped the Joker's neck in that moment.
The most Bruce, or rather Batman, would do is grin. He would give you a grin.
Batman grins.
He'll give you a grin.
Even like Michael Keaton Batman grinned.
So, those are like those little things. I mean, it's nitpicking, but it's these little things that say that this is not akin to the character. And I don't care about this not being your daddy's Batman. It's just that's
even
not
in the
Batman.
Cartoon, which was a dark cartoon, he smiled occasionally.
He had a grin.
Yeah, he would grin. He doesn't full on laugh unless he got Joker gas.
Never laugh. Yeah, you know.
Okay, so I just don't think all the jokes hit, and it felt like they were kind of going out of their way. So,
but they had to lighten the mood, though.
I like it. I like the tone of this movie.
I mean, yeah, but like,
because I want to see them having fun being a team. At first, it was just like we hate each other because there was clearly conflict in the beginning between all of them. Even Wonder Woman, she didn't agree with the way Batman did things initially. The only one who was with it was the Flash because he needs friends.
One of my scenes that was actually cool for me, that at first I was getting worried, like, what is happening here? But then it saved itself, was when Aquaman was talking.
Ah, that was another good scene. That was one of the jokes that hit.
Yeah. And he was going off and all of that, and then he's like, "Oh, you're sitting." He was sitting on the rope, right? That's what.
Yeah, he's like, "Look," he's like, "We're all screwed." He's like, "This guy, he could be the mother box. He could be the enemy." He's like, "This guy, he's always tripping over his own feet, and then in the process tripping everybody else up."
Yeah.
He's like, "This guy has no powers." He's like, "But you're hot. You're powerful."
He's like, "Matter of fact, I want to live." He's like, "I don't know what happened between us long ago, but I want to live." But yeah,
it's like we're here side by side.
So they're again. I said this 2 times already, and we're gonna go into it a little more. But the average viewer not knowing exactly how much editing was done, how another director, right? Is that it?
Yes,
another director. 2 directors had took on this movie. And it feels like 2 directors took on this movie.
A Tale of Two Cities.
Changing the music out, editing the music and changing the score. Getting these reshoots with Henry Cavill with a mustache and using this poor
terrible CGI.
Having them smile more.
Terrible CGI. How did you feel about Steppenwolf?
Very video game looking.
But that was the least of my worries. Listen,
because we didn't really see him a lot.
The first scene that angered me was the enemy. He got lassoed by Batman, and then I don't know what was happening, and then he's bouncing around saying, "Oh, it's because Batman's gone. That's why this is happening." Like, yo, you're a criminal. What is this your concern? Why is Batman just like Alfred? Right in front of the criminal. What is happening? When does Batman do that?
I mean,
he was just using him for bait. He doesn't really care. He didn't want to even hurt that dude. He's just using him because fear brings the parademons.
How did he know that?
Because obviously he dealt with it before off camera, but it's edited down to 2 hours, so we wouldn't see it.
Right, but that's
not our fault.
No. But that comes back to what I was saying before. It is a series of vignettes. Like, we don't know what the connective
It's a bunch of splash pages, bro.
Exactly. That's exactly what it is.
Pages.
Everything is
the whole
just
movie
like,
is splash pages.
We need an excuse to get to the next splash page, right? So let's do the bare minimum that we can, and
they should have pushed it back.
Yeah, and I actually do want to talk about that, but
I don't know where they could have put that movie.
No, they should have put it back like a year. The whole fact at least 6 months. The fact that the director had to deal with the death of his child, and then you got to bring somebody on and try to make it a cohesive vision, and then rush these reshoots, and then you can tell because if they had more time to CG on that, his facial hair wouldn't be so damn bad.
Right. Or if they had more time, they could have just waited till he was done with the other movie.
And then shot it then.
And cut. No, but so here's the thing.
And it should have definitely been more. It should have been longer than 2 hours. This whole trying to keep it under that. You know what I'm saying? But you're spending all kind of extra tens of millions of dollars for CGI for his facial hair when you could just held it back because you're trying to make the money this year. You should have held it back.
They just got jammed, man. But let's go a little deeper. With this.
Now, does anybody want to say anything?
Them quarterly earnings.
So okay. Now let's just let's get to some of the behind the scenes things.
Yeah.
So, firstly,
wait, can I ask one real quick before you jump in? And this is for everyone. Did this movie, we know we're about to get into it, but did this movie make you want to see another Justice League?
I will go see every single one of these movies because I'm a comic book nerd. Do you not see all the lovely action figures here?
All right, so the answer
this
is yes.
Guy, like, I'm gonna see every single one of them, good or bad. I want them all to be good.
Right.
I want them all to be good because then we keep getting more. If they fail, then it's just like, then I gotta wait longer for them to reboot it. They might take 3 years off for them to reboot it, as opposed to me getting these movies 2 a year, which I would like for DC to get to a point where it's that. But because of how this is performing, but we'll know after next week.
So let me just throw this in, and we're about to get into the meat and potatoes. I had said in a previous episode that I thought this movie was going to make big bank, and even though it's making bread, but it's not making enough as to what I thought it was going to make. One of the factors that I had in my head was that DC unfortunately has crapped the bed with 3 other films.
You never ish the money bad, man.
And they ish the money bad. And it turned people off with saying...
Now, which 3 is that?
That's Brick. Number 1 would be
BBS.
Brick number 2 would be Suicide Squad.
Okay.
And what didn't they come out with
and Man of Steel.
Watch him
Brick.
out.
No, I like Man of Steel, but take it easy. People didn't like the movie.
It's divisive. I mean? All of that.
Yeah.
Okay,
so next words carefully.
Here's the word, because if I don't say it's a brick, they made 3 divisive films to where it's not like majority unanimous.
Right, a unanimous was like,
or like majority of people like it or say it's great.
Well, so, Man of Steel had above a 50%, I think. So that was the majority of the people.
Anyway, so you can get right into it. We'll jump in. But I just so for me, that is what concerns me, where people are like, I don't really care about Justice League, and maybe that's why people didn't come out in numbers.
For the people who watch these videos,
they're getting slammed with ratings.
For the people who watch these videos, if you go back and look, LeVar was right again. Thought it was wrong, but I knew it all along.
What were you right about?
That Thor was going to do more than this.
Thor worked up to that, but let's jump into the
okay. Doesn't matter. I said it.
Go ahead, sir.
Both of these guys were wrong.
I give this film a 7.8, and I acknowledge that I may be grading on a curve,
right?
Because I think about all the behind the scenes news, which I think also like
you gave it a sympathy vote.
Right, and because there's just so much, I cannot. First of all, Warner Brothers needs to get their PR department in line, because I don't know, they are leaking like a sieve with all the information about this thing, right. All the bad news coming out.
Right.
Ben Affleck can't keep his mouth shut about wanting to not be Batman anymore.
Right.
Henry
is that
Cavill's
a done deal, or is that rumored?
I mean, the last we heard from him, he says that like
he's
looking for a graceful way to bow out. These are his words.
Mm. Yeah. He said he's looking for a graceful. Yeah. Verbatim, he said that. When he said this.
Wow.
Yeah, he said it last week, right before, like 2 days before Justice League came out.
2 days before Justice League.
This is what I'm talking about. So people here,
his brother Ben said that. Is he still doing that?
The director is we're adding a new director, and this is the real.
I can see him as Batman. But,
this is the real problem. But listen, okay. Like, do you remember the controversy when everybody first heard like, oh, Ben Affleck's gonna be Batman? And then
I was on the fence
until they saw him as Batman. It's like,
we had the discussion.
It's pretty good. It's not even whack.
It's pretty good now. And now everybody's like, oh, the same people that was like, oh, you picking Ben Affleck? He was Daredevil.
People are fickle, man.
I didn't say that.
He's leaving. It's all over. What are we gonna?
People are fickle, man.
I didn't say
it's
that.
So, like Porzingis, man. Like when they booed him when he got drafted to the Knicks, but now everybody on his jock.
And back to the movie, because I don't watch sports.
So now, those who watch get the analogy.
But so you think of like this.
These guys are clearly nerds.
This may be the last time we see Ben Affleck as Batman, and what does that mean for replacing him? Do they recast a la James Bond, or do they just say that Robin has taken over the cape and cowl? Right. We don't know. So that puts some, that puts something on it. That puts that adds some weight to it.
Right.
The idea that there has been no announcement for a Man of Steel 2 yet. It seems like from Man of Steel that Warner Brothers does not know what to do with the Superman character. Right?
It's crazy.
One Man of Steel came out, which is my favorite DCEU movie.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
Trash.
And then, what did he really have to do in BVS?
Find out that
exactly right. Okay, great. Nothing. So Now he's here, and you don't even get him until like the end of the movie. So, and he's in none of the marketing.
Whoa. Lies, because he's in it from the first 10 seconds of the movie.
Okay, but then he goes away. That's a video clip. So my point is, he was completely devoid in the marketing. Right. So
was he? Because they showed him in one of the trailers, which you thought was a flashback or maybe it was a dream sequence. So how was he not in the marketing when they showed that he's in the movie?
Is Superman on the poster?
Yes, he is.
What poster? Is he in the poster with the Justice League?
Yep, the Superman symbol is there where it says...
but he's not in the poster.
If the Superman... Read between the lines.
No. And let me explain this to you.
The whole fact he was always in the marketing, if the Superman symbol is in the damn poster, with what did it say? The words in between it where it said...
you can't save the world alone.
You can't save the world alone.
Or hope never dies.
And also the poster with Superman by himself where it said hope never dies. Also the fact that he was in the commercial.
Okay, look.
So how can you say he was in none of the marketing?
The movie only did $96 million though.
But he was in
so there was a problem with the marketing. Right?
Yeah.
Now, when we saw the trailer for Thor, we saw Thor fighting the Hulk.
Right.
When we saw the trailer for Batman versus Superman, we saw Batman fighting Superman.
But that was all a lie because
that film did $167 million opening weekend.
Right.
This is Justice League, and you did not have Superman in his suit with the Justice League in the trailers. And if you want to say it didn't affect it, it did $96 million. So there is something there.
Something to that.
Folks, clearly Steven has anger management problems. He be getting so tight.
I'm just saying. They didn't put him in the marketing.
I'm just saying, chill, Steve.
Okay.
Maybe you need to, partake of, the herbal essences.
And so, from botched marketing to Batflex apathy to people not even knowing what's happening with Henry Cavill as Superman or what.
So, no, where do we stand with this universe?
And then coming off of BVS and Suicide Squad, they're 1 for 5 in
a lot of crap.
And I say 2 for 5, but the broader public says 1 for 5 with Wonder Woman, and that had its own
issues.
Not issues, but its own series of
controversies.
There's a lot of reasons why Wonder Woman did what it did, and it is separated from what. No, I mean, it was the first time seeing, Wonder Woman in getting her own movie.
Right, but you're trying to give it a curve there.
No, what I'm saying is it has its own set of circumstances. Right? So we've seen
that
Batman
led to its success.
Yes,
exactly.
There's a lot. Look, you catch lightning in a bottle, and yes, it was a good movie, but there's also a lot more going on to
it. Like I was saying the other day in one of our other videos, it's a self-contained thing. It's separate in that it takes place in like World War II before any of these people are even born. Before Superman or Batman or Aquaman or any of them are born.
Right.
So it's very self-contained.
So with all of that, I think that depressed the turnout. And the reason I wanted to bring that up, because they spent, if you include marketing, there's people out there saying they've spent upwards of $500 million.
For Justice League?
Yes, so it was $250 million, which was the Zack
Snyder
flop,
flipping
plus,
all over the place.
They had to do reshoots of around $50 or $60 million.
Oh my God!
And then they spent upwards of between $50 and $200 million on marketing.
Yeah, that's awful.
Now, so this movie, and again, they don't get all of the ticket sales. This movie is going to have to do something like $650 million worldwide just to break even, and they only did $96 million in the U.S. Come on, man.
Terrible, man.
He didn't make the sound, man.
Now, my question, I want to bring this back to you.
Yeah, man, the price is wrong, bitch.
If we're thinking about Suicide Squad, BVS, what happened with Justice League, Man of Steel is divisive.
Right.
Should should Warner Brothers just reboot this whole thing and say, you know what, this thing is not working, and we can't build a franchise on a shaky foundation?
What's with these reboots, man? What's your take?
Give us your take. I mean, I just want them to steer the ship right, but it's just like, just because I'm going to see them,
it right?
Just because I go see all of these movies because I'm a comic book nerd, you know, doesn't mean everybody else is just going to keep spending their hard-earned money to see it.
Right.
I will always go see these movies because to me it's like it brings me back to my childhood, and I just want them to be good, you know. But if they're not good, it affects, you know, more of these movies getting made.
I don't need the stink of any of this coming on Black Panther is what I'm saying.
Like what I said, like I want to see.
Man, DC has their own fun.
You know,
you don't have to worry
it's just
about
like when they started talking about this Deathstroke movie or the Rock movie, you know, Black Adam or whatever. It's just like, oh, I want to see that. But if this, when you got all these characters together, is only doing 95 million, 96 million, like the lowest grossing one, that bodes, you know, terribly for
that's
the
the
future.
lowest grossing out of all of them.
Well, lowest opening. We don't know what it's going to gross.
Lowest so far. Lowest opening.
Lower than Suicide Squad.
Lower than Suicide Squad.
Okay, let me. And
you want to know how I knew it was going to be bad? Because it's just like the toys were sitting on the shelves. The toys been on the shelves, but it's just like, and it was just like they were offering, if you buy the toy, you get a free movie ticket. So I was just like, yo, this is bad.
Gosh.
When I seen that, like from weeks ago, I was like, yo, this is bad, yo. This is not going to do numbers. And then when I wasn't even in the theater, I seen it at like a 10 something, 15 showing. And it was like 10 people in my theater. Yeah. I was just there like, yo, this movie's going to flop.
And you know,
but I knew from weeks ago.
But back to your PR
I knew from months ago, really, but.
With back to your PR thing, as far as what they're trying to sell or talk to the public, marketing or whatever's going on with that movie. I mean, they didn't sell the tickets or make the tickets available until, what was it, 2 weeks out or something like that?
Right, and they also held back the reviews on Rotten Tomatoes. You couldn't get the Rotten Tomato review until the day before it came out.
And see, for me, I felt that.
By the way, Warner Brothers is part owner of Rotten Tomatoes, so there's that. So
they put their hand in it.
Something to keep in mind.
So who knows if it was a revenge thing or if it was also just the fact that people were so annoyed with the rest of the films, and when you start steamrolling into a crappy, a crappy place, then everybody starts piling on. Right. And so I just felt, for me, it was just one of these things that a lot of the reviewers were just frothing at the mouth to just say something bad and awful about the film, because that would get more press than saying anything good about it. Because a lot of people online and things like that, and ourselves included, we've kind of said, listen, man, is the movie bad? No. Is there some issues? Of course, but it's not as bad as what people are making it out to be.
It's not even whack, yo.
It's not even
whack.
I
don't really know any reviewers that, even the people that didn't like it, a lot of them just say, like, I like the direction it's going, and it is a.
So then, how does it get the direction that is 33%? So you know what I mean, like
because it's pretty bad. I can like it and say, but I know where it's going, and I want to see the next one, or I can not like it, but say.
But it's just like, if you look at
it's going in the right way.
Look, for
the
me,
audience rating is high though.
It's not really that high. It's like a B+. Like Suicide Squad got a B+.
Oh my god.
And Cinema Score.
Well, and even in reference to when you were talking about should they just completely do it over? I'm tired of reboots.
Well, okay, but again,
I like Henry Cavill as Superman. I think you need to just lighten him up and not make him so with this kind of God complex. I mean, I know Superman's all powerful and all this and that.
40%.
Just make him a little more human. I like Batman. I like the character that they have as Flash.
You don't like. See what those scores are.
Okay, but I'm just saying the score right now on Rotten Tomatoes for this movie is 40% for the tomatoes, so it's rotten. But the audience score is 85%.
Listen, I like who plays the Flash. I like Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman. I like who they have casted. I even like Cyborg.
I like them as an ensemble cast. I like the way they bounce off each other.
Let me read off some stats to you. Man of Steel opened to $116 million. Batman vs. Superman opened to $167 million. Right. Suicide Squad, a movie full of nobodies except for the Joker,
and Will Smith,
Right, Will Smith was in it.
I thought you was about to say
I'm saying the characters.
Okay. Yo, dude, how you finish Will Smith?
I'm saying the characters that. No, I'm not talking about the actors. The characters.
Right.
Nobody knew who those characters were except for the Joker
and Harley Quinn. Right.
Everybody knows the Joker.
Now
and Harley Quinn.
that movie
Batman was in that movie.
opened
Don't act
at
like Batman was in that movie.
$135 million. Right.
But the movies were so terrible. That's why people lost faith in the franchise.
Wonder Woman opened at $103 million.
Right.
And Batman versus Superman, you have everyone together.
You mean Justice League?
Justice League, you have everyone together, and it only does $96 million, less than Suicide Squad, where nobody knew those people. If you can't do it with everybody coming together, there's a trajectory of it going downward. So LeVar, I'm asking you this: can this thing be saved? I know we
I
like
want them to save it.
You want them to save it.
I don't want to reboot.
Can you build on a shaky foundation?
No, you can't.
So what does that mean?
Man, what they got to do is, because it's just like, regardless of whatever's going on,
I hope Warner Brothers, you're listening. We're about to say
whatever is going on, because they already finished shooting Aquaman, so that's coming out. It's coming out. That has to do numbers. If that does great, like by itself, if that does great, it could
Could it?
Fix
but is people going to come out to see Aquaman?
Yes, all the women are going to see that movie. All the women are going to see this movie. They love this guy. Jason Momoa, they love this guy.
Right.
Khal Drogo.
I mean, it may not. They didn't go see him when he played Conan. You know what I mean? And again...
But he wasn't like a star then.
And you think he's more of a star now?
He's a superstar right now.
Why? Because he's in a hit movie?
From the
I think
promo trailers
I think it's better to say he has a cult following.
Yeah, he has a cult following.
To say that.
So...
And we see how cult followings do for 2049.
Yeah. So and that's the other thing. So, at some point you got to say, look, because they could do one of two things. They could just say, you know what, this connected thing is not working out. Wonder Woman was a siloed off film. Right. Aquaman is probably going to be all under the sea, so that's siloed
under
off.
That sea.
Right. Matt Reeves has said he wants to do something separate, so that may be a separate Batman trilogy, and then everybody's going to be off on their own. And,
I don't mind that.
But do they meet? Do you get them to come together? Maybe they can focus just on the individual movies and say, you know what? 5 years from now, we'll do another Justice League. And I think everybody has a movie.
I think, and if you're going with that type of plan, that's what it should have been all along. I don't know why they rushed. They got so frantic. You have all of this money. You're saying, we got to do this now. You're not Marvel. Marvel built to that.
Yeah, everybody got their own movie. They even gave Ant-Man a goddamn movie.
Yeah, but they built to that.
Just so they could have that scene where they shoot him off of Hawkeye's arrow. They gave him a whole 2-hour movie just to do that.
But they built to that. They earn the people's trust. They work towards that. You don't
and
just
that
come
is
out.
why the first Avengers opened up to over $200 million on its opening weekend.
Because they did it right.
They took their time.
And that's what Warner Brothers has to do.
And this is again, and I say this again, and I want to kind of wrap this thing up. But they took their time with that film, right. And when you watch Avengers, you don't have they got the storytelling part out the way so they could get straight down to business. And Warner Brothers, them saying we need to do a Batman versus Superman now, Dawn of Justice,
immediately after
and doing a Justice League. Here's the thing: the last Christopher Nolan Batman movie did $1 billion. BVS made $875 million.
Right.
if you just have Batman in a movie, it's going to do that. So if you're worried about money, they could have did a standalone Batman movie that would have made more than what BVS made. And then you could have slowed down, given us Man of Steel 2, given us a Batman movie, given us a Wonder Woman movie, and then come to your Justice League.
Another thing to talk about is it's just like, I don't want this thing to be over because of the things that it was, attempting to set up, like the Injustice League. Because in the end of the movie...
Or is that the Legion of Doom?
The Legion of Doom, the Injustice League, whichever one they want to go with. Or a League of Our Own, as Lex said. And that's another thing that effed up the movie for me, because I said before going into it, as long as Lex ain't in it, I'm good. But Lex does show up.
Some people would argue in that post-credit scenes, that 30 seconds you see him is better than everything he did.
Everything he did. It's definitely better than everything he did.
Because his swagger was there.
Yeah.
He's bald. He's sitting wearing the suit, sitting on the thing.
I'm a boss. But,
he's more toned down.
Yeah. He just needs to be.
And that was the problem with BVS. Nobody told Zack Snyder
But we could get this Legion of Doom movie popping, man. That would be awesome.
Look, I think the beauty of Christopher Nolan's Batman trilogy is kind of what put Warner Brothers in this hole to begin with, because it was a separate universe where he was not thinking of Superman or anyone else. He was just focused on Batman and making Batman as realistic as possible. And it was the tone was dark and Batman was serious and everything that was going on in Gotham City. And then you see all of that, you see how well it is, and Warner Brothers is kind of rubbing their hands together saying, hey, how can we get this money? How can we get Superman? And then when you go with Superman and you make Superman a little more serious, surround him in a little more realism in Metropolis and things like that, and you try to go with that tone, you lose what makes comic books and the characters so great to begin with. And
wait, slow down. Are you saying because it was dark that you lose what's in the comic books, or am I hearing you wrong?
No, you're not. So
Superman is not supposed to be dark. Batman
Superman is not a dark character,
no,
and
Batman
I don't care.
Have you read Kingdom Come?
So
that's
what?
one comic, Steve.
That's one. Thank you.
No, but there's
that's
other Superman comics that were told from a dark perspective.
I don't want to see him dark.
What you have to do is make a good movie. Like, we can't say like, oh, it's not fucking Iron Man.
Hey guy, why? Because you love freaking Man of Steel. You have to be dropping F-bombs. Why you getting so mad, son?
It's not so much about that.
Yes, it is, because you love that movie. It's your favorite movie.
No, but
I like Man of Steel
people
too,
like to jump and say, oh, they're not telling jokes. They're not jumping around and
why are you so mad,
it's not
son?
Good. That's not it. Make a good movie.
It wasn't a good movie,
Dark Knight
Steve. It was trash.
Serious.
It was trash.
It was a very serious movie.
And I'm not
so
the
it doesn't
person.
need to be Joel Schumacher.
I'm not the person who says this a lot, but sometimes you go to movies because you want to have fun.
You're right, Yabi. Right? You're right. That movie is trash.
Okay. All right. The Dark Knight made $1 billion though, and so did The Dark Knight Rises. That also made $1 billion.
The Dark Knight trilogy was dope.
Wasn't no jokes there. That's what I mean. Make a good movie. It's
He's
not
supposed to be dark.
Superman
is not though. Superman is though.
Man of Steel, right?
Too dark.
As you said in a previous episode, was that he was a lose-lose situation of snapping the neck or letting the people die.
Why you mad, doggy?
Right? And that didn't sit well with a lot of fans.
That's not how your eyes work.
True or false?
Trash.
Okay, sure.
Okay, and then also there was other issues that as you're watching Superman, where it was just this God complex, where even though everyone knows that Superman is better, stronger than anybody, he can do all these different things, there was always this human element to him that he contained by growing up on Kansas and knowing that, hey, I'm no different from you. He made you feel like you can be just like me. Did Superman in the Man of Steel, and I'm not even trying to come at Man of Steel because I like Man of Steel, but did Superman in the Man of Steel make you feel like you're
fly.
him? No.
I'm bulletproof. I can run faster than speeding bullet.
So you go from Man of Steel, and watching this Henry Cavill's character just constantly brood over everyone, and then you go into BVS and he's still brooding, and you're like, wait, who's darker, Superman or Batman? Who's the representation of light?
Because it's supposed to be the whole,
light
differences.
And dark.
Like, you ever seen that picture, like a Jim Lee picture?
In justice.
Like, you see Metropolis and you see,
Gotham
City, and it's just like one is dark and one is light. And one is light. Superman is supposed to represent the beacon of light. Batman is the dark. It's the yin and the yang. So that's why Superman can't be dark.
So not only
if you're going to do a Justice League thing,
yes. So that's not why only do you come with a
but
good
that's why
film.
they had smiling Superman, and they showed him in the meadows in the fields and try to lighten them up now.
And that's why they had to do so many jokes, because it's not only you're doing a good film.
The trashness of Man of Steel.
But you have to have people relate to the characters that are on screen. In no point do you watch any Marvel films and not feel like you can't, even though there's a guy running around with a hammer, you're like, yo, I could rock with this dude.
Yeah.
You see Captain America running around with a shield. I could rock with this dude.
I guess that's the formula. Everything has
Didn't
to be
you say
Didn't
you say Hollywood's a formula driven
that's fine.
industry?
But guess what? You know what else was good?
So how does that work?
You know what else was good? Logan. Right?
Logan is its
but
own.
That's so my point is supposed to be dark.
Is Superman supposed to be rated R now?
It's not about it being rated R. I'm saying
Should
make
he
a
run
good
around
movie.
snapping people's
I'm
necks?
saying make a good movie. And it's not.
BVS wasn't a good movie.
No, it wasn't a good movie.
Suicide Squad wasn't a good movie.
No, it wasn't, and
it's
not because they told it dark. It's because they didn't tell a good story. That's all I'm saying. A lot of people try to go to it's too
Man of
serious.
Steel was
it's not that. It's not. That's not the silver bullet that is serious or there's jokes. Like, the movie should be good.
Serious?
And if you tell a good story, then you'll have a good movie. That's all I'm saying.
These jokes off.
And you can have a $1 billion movie that is a serious movie.
In War for the Planet of the Apes, when we did the review for War for the Planet of the Apes, I could have been good with just seeing a violent film play out. You had made the comment of saying that, hey,
off the rails.
You had made the comment. You see how this works?
You want like popcorn movies that don't do nothing.
You said the dude with the blue coat, whatever his name was, the little monkey or whatever.
I understand what you're arguing for now.
You said that it was good that he came in because he had to lighten up the mood. True or false? Right? True or false? You said that he came in there to bring some brevity to the film. True or false?
Levity to the movie.
Some levity, not brevity. Some levity.
That's what you want.
Right?
That's what you want. You want
in that same tone,
right?
In that same tone,
with
Bad Ape. In that same tone, when you have Superman come on stage, he's saying that, no, we don't need jokes. We need it to be like, just tell a good story and let it be serious. Like, I don't need everything to tell a joke. No, you need to lighten up a film in all circumstances.
Somebody got to play it straight and somebody got to tell a joke.
That's what you're saying.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that in a film, you have to lighten it up for your audience.
Superman.
Not Superman. You have to lighten it up for your audience.
Okay.
Get it right. So if you're sitting there and talking about
that
it's all straightforward.
Did they lighten it up in the Dark Knight?
You got it twisted, yo.
Dark Knight and Christopher Nolan had his particular vision, and Batman
so
is rooted in serious. Wasn't funny? And Batman is rooted.
The Joker wasn't funny?
Batman is rooted in
there
a serious tone.
There wasn't no comedy in the Dark Knight? The Joker wasn't funny.
You didn't have no jokes in Man of Steel?
When the Joker banged this dude's head on the table, gamble, and he was like, ta-da! That wasn't funny.
Okay.
When the Joker was there in the dress,
it's not,
and then the explosive wasn't going off, and then he was there like banging on the thing, and then it blew up all over. That wasn't funny. The Joker was funny.
I don't think you guys understand what I'm saying.
I don't think you understand what's happening.
You're saying it needed to be light.
That you're losing this argument.
That is not. No, because that's what you guys want. You guys want like, there needs to be jokes everywhere, and it can't be too serious.
It's just got to be entertaining, bro.
You can have by pointing to
Superman represents.
It's light.
Okay.
It's light,
a beacon of light
justice.
and hope.
All right, I guess you.
Not a guy who's brooding over everyone as a god.
And I'm depressed because I'm Superman. A god, and y'all can't relate to me.
Okay. It's not Superman in the specific comics that you've read.
It's Superman saying, "What can I do to make this world better?" Not how can this world be better for me.
Okay.
There's a difference.
He definitely died to save the world, but
But that movie was trash though.
Right.
And he didn't die. He was just taking a quick nap.
Ladies and gentlemen.
He also had a trial for something that happened in Africa.
By the way, again, I'm not going to bat for that movie, and I don't think.
I think you are.
Let's wrap it up.
Okay.
B. Let's wrap it up. B.
Okay. All right. To wrap it up, folks, make a good movie. You don't have the definition of a good movie is not whether there's jokes or not whether it's all serious.
No, it's staying true to form with the character that everyone wants to see. That's what it is.
Okay.
But wrap it up.
Okay. Like I said, folks, make a good movie.
I can do this too, people.
Okay. So, before we close, does your rating still stand?
Yeah, because there was a lot of jokes. So I'm gonna give this
jokes
movie.
And jokes and jokes.
Cyborg couldn't feel his toes, so that made the film.
And I can't feel
great.
my face when I'm with you.
And I'm gonna give the movie an 8 now because of that last toe joke with Cyborg.
Yeah.
There we go.
Something's bleeding. Something's definitely bleeding.
Mm-hmm.
We needed more smiles in there.
More cowbell.
Lighten up these costumes and that color palette. Make it bright for everybody. That's the formula for a good movie, folks. All right. On that note, that's what we do here. We have discussions about films, and we love these things. So sometimes they get heated, and that is what it is about, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. Woods, give him a smile and tell him where they can find you.
I'm always smiling, man. I told you I said next week I might say some more.
Recipe for a hit movie, baby. Let's go.
Listen.
Let's see those pearls.
You might get 167 opening weekend, baby.
Oh, no, I won't. Why Woods? Why not? Social media, whatever, Instagram, all that good stuff, or whywoodswhynot.com to find my anecdotes on all things.
Miss Johnson,
period abides on the Instagram, LeVar Johnson, on the Facebooks. You can check me out on the Twitter, but I don't tweet. I have a Snapchat as well, but I don't snap.
So it just exists.
All right.
Yeah, it's there though. If you want to hit me up, wherever you want to hit me up.
Find them on Facebook.
And that, my friends, was an exercise in futility. And I am always your host, Steve Johnson. You can find me at Steve A.M. Johnson at your favorite social media network, as long as it is not Snapchat.
Was that a joke?
No, I am deadly serious. Oh, okay. And again, I just want to remind you, if you liked what you heard, go ahead and click that like button or subscribe. Tell your friends, tell their friends. Follow us. We'll follow you. We'll say hi. Leave a message. Let's talk about this thing. Do you think movies need to have jokes in order for them to be good? Do you think that you like a serious film? Did you hate Man of Steel because it was terrible? Did you hate BVS? What did you think about Justice League?
I think that you might want to check your cholesterol because you are salty as hell.
There you go. Do you like salt? And on that note, folks, that was another episode of On the Reel, and it's all fun
off
here,
the rails, because clearly we went off the rails.
It's all fun here, folks, and with that, we are out of here.
Later.